Hi everyone, it is September, it's back to school, it's almost fall, and we are going to make Chinese hot dog buns or hot dog bao. If you're like my sister, back in, I don't know, when did you buy these? July? June. Okay, so these have been around a while. You got a little too excited, thought you were gonna do all this grilling over the summer. Now you have like 3 packs of hot dogs in your freezer. If you need a way to use those hot dogs up, this recipe is a great one. And number 2, it's back to school. Kids love hot dogs. And if you're on day 3 of your kid bringing back their uneaten sandwich, I think it will surprise and delight in the lunchbox. We are improving on the humble hot dog bao today. So if you've never heard of a hot dog bun, it is a classic Chinese bakery item. You'll find them alongside like red bean buns and pineapple buns. We did used to love these when we were kids, but sometimes they can be a little disappointing. And there are a few reasons for that. Number 1, the quality of the hot dog. It's not the most flavorful. In this recipe, you're gonna use your favorite store-bought hot dog. Number 2, the dough is usually wrapped around a hot dog that has not been cooked, or it's just right out of the package and then they wrap the dough around it. So you end up with this kind of like soggy-ish hot dog. It's just kind of sad. So that's maybe the biggest solve in this recipe, which is that we are going to sear the hot dog before we put it into the dough. Finally, number 3, if you buy a hot dog from a Chinese bakery, unless you're there first thing in the morning, it's been sitting there for a few hours, you've already lost. When you make them at home, you can have them fresh out of the oven and they come out so much better. So this recipe, like almost all of our Chinese bakery bun recipes, starts with my mom's famous milk bread. She actually made a video about that, link in the description box below, and you can check it out right here as well. I also have a mixture of whole milk and heavy cream. I have an egg, some sugar, salt, oil, a little bit of yeast, and of course, my hot dogs. Let's make the dough. So as promised, we are just dumping things into a bowl. So the only thing you should keep in mind is that the wet ingredients do need to be at room temperature, and you do need to add them in the order listed in the recipe. We are using a kitchen scale today. We also have regular US cup and spoon measures, but the scale is just gonna get you more consistent results. I'm adding 1/3 cup of sugar, which is about 5 tablespoons and 1 teaspoon. For the flour, I need 570 grams. So that's the great thing about this. You scoop it in till you hit 570, and you're not wondering like, oh, did I measure it right? Did I like scrape the top enough? Did I fluff the flour enough? Nice. Got it.
Bang on.
And now we're going to add the yeast, a tablespoon, which is about 11 grams. I have a packet here that's 7 grams, so I'm just gonna add that first. And then I have my mom's like bulk yeast. Look at that, 7 grams on the dot. We need 11 grams. Salt, I'm gonna add 1.5 teaspoons. We just put this in the mixer with the dough hook attachment and let it knead for about 15 minutes. Our original recipe calls for a mixture of bread flour and cake flour, but upon further testing, we've actually found that using all-purpose flour doesn't make a meaningful difference to the recipe, so feel free to use either. We're using all-purpose flour today. So one of the questions that we get pretty often about this recipe is, I don't have to bloom the yeast in a separate bowl with the sugar? And the answer is no. Everything just sort of gets mixed in all together, the yeast gets incorporated, and that is why it's so important to put all of the ingredients in the order that we listed. If, however, you're concerned that your yeast isn't fresh, take some of the milk, warm it slightly until it's lukewarm in the microwave, add the yeast, and then add like 1 tablespoon of the sugar, and then see if it bubbles. And if it's all nice and bubbly, then you can just add it to the rest of the ingredients, and you'll know that your yeast is fresh. That way you haven't wasted all of your ingredients when your yeast might not be the freshest. Of course, the way to avoid that is to just buy a new packet of yeast. We are done kneading. It's been 15 minutes. As you can see, the dough is a little bit sticky. That's totally fine. There is some stuff that I'll scrape off the sides, but this dough wrapping around the center of the dough hook is exactly what you want to see. So at this point, I'm just going to scrape the dough off the dough hook. Since it has that heavy cream in it, there's actually quite a bit of fat in this dough, so it actually doesn't stick too badly. I'm just going to scrape down the sides of the bowl now. This is really just to get all of the dough into one big ball. We're looking good. I'm just going to cover this. I would suggest not using plastic wrap. I just stick a bowl on top of this, and my mom's best trick for this milk bread is she puts it into the microwave with a mug of boiled water next to it, and that sort of creates that like warm, humid environment that you need to proof this. This needs to double in size. Depending on the weather, the humidity, it could take an hour, could take up to 2 hours. So while the dough is proofing, we can cook the hot dog. Today, we are using our personal favorite store-bought hot dog, Nathan's Coney Island Original. This hot dog has a natural casing, which is key. Unfortunately, we discovered that these are packs of 5 hot dogs, and even though this recipe makes 12 buns, we're only gonna be able to make 10 today. My sister tells me that despite the fact that it's September, the reason we are short on hot dogs is that she's still desperately clinging to the idea that she's gonna grill a pack of hot dogs, and she kept one in her freezer, but it's okay. We'll make 2 extra buns into something else, maybe like cheese buns. I'm heating the pan. I'm gonna add a little bit of oil. Don't need a lot. I think we say 1.5 tablespoons in the recipe.
That's a lot.
That is kind of a lot. You really don't need that much. I'm just gonna sear these hot dogs. So this searing step is really gonna give the hot dog bun so much more flavor. The goal is just to get a nice sort of crispy sear on the outside. That only takes a few minutes, so this will be done pretty quick. So hot dogs may not seem like the most Chinese thing, but if you haven't been to China recently, newsflash, hot dogs have taken over China. People love them. They're sold vacuum sealed, ready to eat. People sell them on sticks. I don't know if this is a good thing, but it's become a much more popular item in China these days than it ever was in the past. Another reason why searing the hot dogs makes a lot of sense is the hot dogs are in a light coating of water in the package, which means that you have kind of this like wet hot dog that you're then wrapping dough around. The dough that comes in contact with the hot dog kind of stays like a little bit soggy. So this is not just giving flavor to the hot dog, the outside of the hot dog will no longer be so wet. They smell like French fries. They smell of Nathan's.
Yeah, they do. They do. They smell like Nathan's fries.
Okay, so the hot dogs are done. We want them to be cooled before we assemble the buns. So once the dough is done proofing, you're going to put it back into the mixer and you're gonna let it knead for 5 minutes. If you wanna knead by hand, you can also do that. The goal here is just to punch the air out of the dough. And once that's done, we'll be ready to assemble the hot dog buns. If the dough's a little bit sticky, just scrape down the bowl with a rubber spatula. It's totally fine. You actually want it to be exactly this texture. Not adding too much flour at this point will make sure that the buns are not dense and that they stay fluffy. This recipe makes 12 hot dog buns, so I'm going to divide the dough into 12 pieces. First, I'm going to cut the dough in half, and then I'll cut each of those in half again. And then with each of those 4 pieces, I'm going to cut those into thirds. To assemble your hot dog buns, you're basically going to take a piece of dough and you're going to roll it into a rope. So I'm going to start like this. And then once you kind of have it in a cigar shape, you can put it down and roll it. And the goal is to roll so that the middle is thicker than the ends, so that the bun's gonna have this football-like shape. So our hot dogs are a little larger than your standard hot dog, so I'm just gonna leave more than you might with a smaller hot dog on the end. And as you wrap, kind of pull it a little bit so that it stretches, and then just like kind of stick it to seal it a little bit. If you've ever seen those like pretzel dogs, it's kind of like that. This is going to rise on the sheet pan, and then when it bakes, it's gonna puff up. I'm done making our hot dog buns. We only had 10. So I have 2 extra pieces of dough here. I'm just gonna put cheese in here. So we have another recipe for ham and cheese buns. We literally just roll it into a rectangle. We put a slice of cheese, fold it over, and then cut little slits in it. And then it just becomes this like yummy, hot pocket looking cheesy bun. I'm just gonna cover these with a clean kitchen towel and I'm gonna proof them for 1 hour and then they're ready to bake. So the buns are done proofing and I have my oven preheated at 350 degrees and I'm going to brush these now with egg wash. I just beat an egg with a little bit of water. This is just gonna give them a really nice golden brown color. You wanna be kind of thin with the egg actually. If you put too much egg, it tends to sort of like pool in places and then you get discoloration. And once these have baked, I'm actually going to brush them again with a simple syrup, a very small amount, and that's gonna give the buns like a really nice shine too. Okay, they're all brushed and shiny. So I'm gonna put these into the oven now at 350 degrees. It should take about 15 minutes to bake them. Just watch for them to turn a nice light golden brown. The buns are out of the oven and now we do the final step, which is to brush them with this simple syrup, which is just a couple teaspoons of sugar dissolved in a couple teaspoons of hot water while they are still hot. They smell like a Chinese bakery. I should probably wait to let these cool, but I cannot wait to try it. That is what a hot dog bun should be. You could eat it just like this with a cup of tea, or you could just slather some mustard on it, you know? We've had some readers who said that they pack this for their kids' lunch with mustard and ketchup and they just have like a hot dog for lunch. The bread inside, like, I don't know if you guys can see, like, it's so fluffy. It's a little bit sweet and it goes so well with the salty hot dog. It's golden brown, it's baked all the way through. It's a little sticky from that sugary water that we put on top. It's just a treat. Really, really good. So if you like this video, give it a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out thewalksoflife.com for more recipes.
What do we think is the top of the pyramid in lunchtime trades?
I don't know.
Gushers?
In 2025, I don't know.
It's probably still Gushers.
No. When was the last time you even saw one on the shelf?
Oh, they're out there.